Welcome to our deep dive today.
Okay,
We're going to be exploring Psalm 25,
great.
and we've got some excerpts from a book on biblical study,
Okay.
specifically focused on this psalm and how relevant it still is today
Okay.
when it comes to navigating the tough stuff in life and seeking a closer relationship with God.
Yeah.
And we'll discover how this ancient psalm
Mm-hmm.
speaks directly to those modern-day struggles
Yeah, right.
and offers some timeless wisdom for finding hope and direction.
You know what's interesting about Psalm 25?
Yeah.
Is that it's not just some ancient text.
Right.
It's a window into a person's very real struggle with, those universal human emotions.
Yeah.
Hope, fear, the need for guidance,
Yeah.
and above all, that desire to connect with something bigger than ourselves.
Yeah.
We get to see that play out in the psalm.
That's what I love about these deep dives.
Yeah.
Uncovering these timeless truths in these ancient texts.
Mm-hmm.
Like right off the bat, Psalm 25 starts
Yeah.
with this powerful image of lifting one's soul to God.
Absolutely.
It's more than just a physical action, right?
Yeah.
What's going on in David's heart?
I think it's a raw moment of complete surrender, David, he's been a shepherd, a warrior, a king.
Yeah.
He's tasted victory and defeat.
Right.
And here he is acknowledging his human limitations.
Yeah.
He's laying it all down.
Right.
Fears, anxieties,
Mm-hmm.
even his identity before God.
Wow.
It's like saying,
Yeah.
I can't do this alone.
Yeah.
I need you.
I can absolutely relate to that feeling
Hmm.
of needing to let go and rely on something bigger than myself.
Right.
And then he goes on to ask God to show him the way.
Exactly.
Like he's admitting he's lost and needs direction.
And that ties in beautifully with Isaiah 55:8 to 9, where it talks about how God's ways and thoughts are higher than ours.
Right.
It's acknowledging that our human perspective is limited.
Yeah.
We need that divine GPS to guide us.
That's so true. It's like we're looking at a map with only a tiny portion revealed.
Right.
We need that aerial view to see the full picture.
Absolutely.
But here's where it gets even more interesting.
Okay.
Our source material points out a connection to John 14:6,
Right.
where Jesus says, I am the way, the truth, and the life.
Oh, wow.
It's like the psalm is foreshadowing the ultimate guide.
It is.
Yeah.
And that connection adds this incredible depth to what David is expressing.
Right.
He's yearning for guidance, not just on a practical level,
Yeah.
but on an existential one.
Yeah.
He's looking for that ultimate truth, that path to true life.
Now in verse 7,
Yes,
David gets pretty personal.
he does.
He asks God to remember not the sins of my youth.
Right.
It's such a vulnerable moment,
Yeah.
admitting his past mistakes.
And I think that resonates with all of us.
Yeah.
We all have those moments we wish we could take back.
Yeah, for sure.
But David isn't hiding from his past.
Right.
He's bringing it to light, acknowledging his need for forgiveness and a fresh start. And that ties beautifully with 1 John 1:9, where it talks about confessing our sins
Right.
and receiving forgiveness.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that no matter what we've done,
Okay.
we can find that cleansing and restoration through God's grace.
Absolutely. It's like hitting the reset button
Mm-hmm.
and starting with a clean slate.
Yeah.
But moving on to verse 9,
Okay.
it introduces this idea of meekness.
Right.
It's a word that sometimes gets a bad rap.
Yeah.
Like it means being weak or passive.
Yeah.
But here it seems to have a different flavor.
Definitely.
Mm.
In this context, meekness is more about humility and being teachable.
Yep.
It's recognizing that we don't have it all figured out
Yeah.
and being open to learning from God.
Right.
And it's not about being a pushover.
Yeah.
It's about having the strength to surrender your ego and embrace the wisdom of a higher power.
That's a powerful point.
Yeah.
It's about strength through surrender. And this idea of meekness connects directly to the Beatitudes
Right.
in Matthew 5:5,
Mm-hmm.
where Jesus says, Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth.
Wow.
What a powerful statement.
It is.
What do you make of that inheritance?
It's a great question.
Yeah.
Is it material wealth
Right.
or something far deeper?
Yeah.
I think it points to a deeper understanding
Okay.
of true abundance.
Mm-hmm.
It's about inheriting a sense of peace,
Yeah.
a deep connection with God,
Right.
a life aligned with a higher purpose.
Mm-hmm.
That's the true riches.
That reframes the idea of inheritance in a really beautiful way.
Yeah.
It makes you think about what we're truly striving for in life.
Right.
Now, verse 10,
Yeah,
we get to the core of who God is, mercy and truth.
right.
It's more than just abstract concepts, right?
Right.
Yeah.
It's the foundation of God's character
Hmm.
and how he interacts with us. It's
Or-
said, often translated as mercy,
Yeah.
is this unwavering love that sticks with us no matter what. It's not just fleeting kindness, it's an enduring commitment.
Okay.
And emet, meaning truth,
Mm-hmm.
is God's reliability.
Right.
He is who he says he is.
Yeah.
He keeps his promises.
It's like that rock-solid foundation we can always count on.
Yes.
And speaking of foundations, verse 14 says, the secret of the Lord is with them that fear him.
Right.
Now, fear can sound a bit intimidating,
Yeah.
but I don't think it's meant to be scary here, is it?
Not at all. It's more about reverence and awe.
Okay.
Acknowledging God's greatness and power.
Mm-hmm.
It's about approaching him with humility
Right.
and a desire to understand his ways.
It's like earning someone's trust and
Yeah.
having them share their deepest secrets with you.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this reminds me of John 15:15, where
Yeah.
Jesus calls his disciples friends
Right.
and reveals the Father's heart to them.
Yeah.
It's about cultivating that intimacy
Right.
where you're trusted with those profound truths.
Mm-hmm.
That's where true understanding lies.
That's incredible.
It is.
It's like the deeper our relationship with God,
Mhm.
the more we're entrusted with his wisdom and guidance.
Right.
Now in verse 16,
Yeah,
we see this raw vulnerability again.
we do.
As David cries out, turn thee unto me and have mercy upon me.
Yeah,
He's laying bare his need for God's compassion and support.
absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a raw, honest plea for help.
Mm-hmm.
We all have those moments when life throws us a curveball.
Yeah.
And we just need someone to turn to,
All right.
someone to understand our pain.
Yeah.
And David shows us it's okay to bring those raw emotions to God.
It's a good reminder that vulnerability isn't weakness.
Right.
It's actually a source of strength.
Absolutely.
And for those who want to delve deeper into expressing their struggles to God,
Yes.
our source material suggests checking out other lament psalms,
Okay.
like Psalm 13.12 and 86.15.
Those are great examples
Yeah.
of how we can pour out our hearts to God in prayer,
Right.
even when we're feeling lost and overwhelmed.
Okay, let's wrap up this part of our deep dive with verse 21,
Okay.
where David focuses on living a righteous life.
Right.
He prays, let integrity and uprightness preserve me.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just about believing the right things, is it?
No.
It's about something more.
It's about aligning our actions with our beliefs.
Okay.
It's about striving to live a life that reflects God's character.
Right.
We're talking honesty, trustworthiness,
Yeah.
doing the right thing, even when it's challenging.
That makes me think of the armor of God in Ephesians 6.13-14,
Mm.
especially the belt of truth and breastplate of righteousness.
Yes.
It's like gearing up to face life's challenges, equipped with integrity
Right.
and a commitment to doing what's right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That belt of truth grounds us in something solid,
Yeah.
something beyond our fluctuating emotions.
Right.
And the breastplate of righteousness protects our hearts,
Hmm.
ensuring our actions align with our beliefs even when it's tough.
Wow, this is just the first part of our deep dive into Psalm 25.
Yeah.
And we've already unearthed so much wisdom and insight.
There's so much more to uncover.
I know, I can't wait.
We've just scratched the surface.
Yeah,
Stick with us for part 2,
absolutely.
where we'll explore even more of Psalm 25
Yeah.
and uncover how it can help us navigate
Mm.
the challenges of modern life.
I'm excited.
Me too.
All right,
Yeah.
let's take a break and we'll be right back.
Sounds good.
It's amazing how this ancient prayer,
Yeah.
Psalm 25,
Right.
still resonates with us today.
It does.
You know, it's like David was speaking directly
Oh, yeah.
to our 21st century struggles.
I think that speaks to the universality of human experience, whether you're a shepherd facing down a lion
Right.
or a modern day person.
Yeah.
Navigating a complex world, certain anxieties remain constant.
Mhm.
And Psalm 25 offers a guide for facing
Yeah.
those anxieties with faith.
Our source material highlights
Right.
the theme of trusting God amidst trials,
Absolutely.
which seems particularly relevant today.
Yeah, it reminds me of Romans 8.31.
If God is for us, who can be against us?
Right.
Psalm 25 echoes that,
Mm-hmm.
urging us to remember that even when we feel overwhelmed,
Yeah.
we have this incredible source of strength and protection.
It's like having that friend
Right.
who always has your back no matter what.
Yeah.
Someone you can call at 3 a.m.
Right.
And they'll be there.
That's a perfect analogy,
Yeah.
but it goes beyond individual support.
Okay.
The psalm also emphasizes God's covenantal faithfulness.
Now, when you say covenantal faithfulness,
Yeah.
what exactly does that mean?
It's about the enduring promise God makes to his people.
Mm-hmm.
This unbreakable bond
Okay.
built on loyalty and commitment.
Right.
And what's fascinating is that our source material points out
Yeah.
how in the New Testament,
Okay.
this covenant extends to all believers through Christ.
So it's not just about following rules. It's
Wow.
about being part of this incredible relationship, this
Yeah.
promise that's bigger than ourselves.
Precisely.
And the beauty is that it's not conditional
Right.
on our performance.
Yeah.
It's a free gift offered to anyone who chooses to accept it,
Right.
even when we mess up,
Yeah.
even when we stray.
Mm-hmm.
That promise remains.
That's such a powerful message of hope.
It is.
And it leads right into another theme
Okay.
that pops up a lot in this psalm,
Yeah.
waiting on the Lord.
Right.
We see David waiting for guidance,
Mm-hmm.
for mercy, for deliverance.
Right.
What's the significance of that waiting?
I think in today's world,
Yeah.
where everything is instant and on demand,
Right.
the concept of waiting can feel frustrating.
Yeah, for sure.
But the psalm challenges us to embrace a different pace,
Okay.
to trust in God's timing.
It's like we're constantly hitting the refresh button
Right.
on our lives,
Yeah.
waiting for things to happen
Mm-hmm.
instead of trusting the process.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But waiting on the Lord isn't passive.
Right.
It's about active surrender, about letting go of our need to control the outcome and
Mhm.
trusting that God is working behind the scenes.
It's that saying, let go and let God, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And our source material ties this concept of waiting
Hmm.
to Isaiah 40.31,
Okay.
which talks about those who wait on the Lord renewing their strength.
Wow.
It's a promise that when we place our trust in God
All right.
and patiently seek his guidance,
Yeah.
we'll find the energy and resilience to keep moving forward.
So it's not just about sitting around and hoping for the best.
Right.
It's about actively seeking God's will and
Exactly.
preparing ourselves to receive it.
You got it.
Yeah.
It's about staying connected to God through prayer,
Mm.
through studying scripture,
Right.
through surrounding ourselves with a supportive community of faith.
Yeah.
It's about doing our part,
Okay.
but also having the humility to recognize that ultimately it's God who brings things to fruition.
I love how this psalm balances action and surrender.
Right.
It's not either.
Yeah.
It's both hand.
Mm-hmm.
We can strive and plan and work hard,
Right.
but also recognize that we need to let go of the outcome
Mm-hmm.
and trust God's bigger plan.
And that leads us back to forgiveness.
Yeah.
Something David pleads for so earnestly in this psalm.
Right.
It's such a relatable struggle.
Yeah.
Wishing we could undo our past mistakes.
For sure.
That feeling of regret.
His plea to have his youthful sins forgotten
Hmm.
really struck a chord with me.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that none of us are perfect.
Right.
We all have those moments we'd rather forget.
Yeah.
But what's so powerful
Mm.
is that Psalm 25 doesn't just acknowledge the problem,
Right.
it points to a solution.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful foreshadowing of the ultimate act of mercy.
Okay.
We see through Christ's sacrifice on the cross.
Right.
Our source material highlights this connection,
Mhm.
emphasizing that in Christ we have complete forgiveness and redemption, no matter how far we've strayed.
It's like that heavy weight of guilt being lifted off your shoulders.
Right.
You're free to start again.
Yeah.
Not because you've earned it,
Right.
but because of God's grace.
That's the heart of the gospel message, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not about what we do,
Right.
but about what Christ has already done for us.
Okay, I want to shift gears a bit
Okay.
and talk about the structure of Psalm 25.
Right.
Our source material points out
Okay.
how it moves from David's very personal pleas
Right.
to a wider reflection on God's character and promises.
It's like this beautiful journey of discovery.
Yeah.
It starts with David pouring out his heart,
Right.
his struggles, his anxieties, but then it shifts to a broader perspective, a
Okay.
deeper understanding of who God is
Yeah.
and how he operates in the world.
Almost like moving from me to we,
Exactly.
from a personal prayer to a universal truth.
And in this shift, we see David's focus expand
Right.
beyond his immediate circumstances
Mhm.
to a bigger picture
Yeah.
of God's faithfulness and love.
Okay.
It's not just about getting what he wants,
All right.
but about aligning himself with God's will.
One voice that really struck me in this section
Okay.
is verse 10.
Mhm.
All the paths of the Lord are mercy and truth,
Right.
unto such as keep his covenant and his testimonies.
Wow.
It's like a roadmap for living a life aligned with God.
It is.
Yeah.
It's saying that when we choose to align our lives
Mhm.
with God's principles,
Right.
with his covenant,
Yeah.
We open ourselves up to experiencing
Okay.
his mercy and faithfulness
Yeah.
in every aspect of our lives.
Right.
It's not just about following rules blindly.
Yeah.
It's about recognizing that God's ways are good
Okay.
and ultimately lead to life in its fullest sense.
So it's not about restriction.
Exactly.
It's about liberation.
Yes.
It's about living in a way that brings us closer to God
Right.
and allows us to experience his blessings more fully.
Precisely.
Okay.
And it's not about achieving some perfect state. It's about that ongoing journey of seeking God,
Right.
of drawing closer to him, of allowing him to transform our hearts and minds.
And in that transformation, in that surrender,
Yeah.
we discover the true meaning of Psalm 25.
Right.
It's not just a collection of verses.
Exactly.
It's a roadmap
Yeah.
for navigating life's challenges with faith, hope, and a deep trust in God's goodness.
It's a beautiful tapestry woven with strands
Mm.
of human vulnerability, divine grace,
Right?
and the enduring promise of God's faithfulness.
Yeah.
And it's a tapestry that continues to offer comfort and guidance
Right.
to anyone who chooses to seek its wisdom.
That's such a great way to put it.
Yeah.
We've covered so much ground
Right.
in part 2 of our deep dive into Psalm 25.
I know.
But there's still more to unpack.
Yeah, there is.
So be sure to stick with us for part 3,
Absolutely.
where we'll explore how to apply these timeless truths to our lives today.
I'm excited.
Me too. Welcome back to our deep dive into Psalm 25.
It's been a great year.
I know, we've journeyed through David's raw emotions,
Yeah.
his pleas for guidance and forgiveness,
Mhm.
and explored those foundational aspects of God's character,
Yeah.
mercy, and truth.
Absolutely.
It's amazing how this ancient psalm
Right.
can still feel so relevant.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's a timelessness to the human experience.
Mhm.
Those anxieties about the future, the need for direction,
Right.
that desire for a deep connection with something bigger than ourselves.
Yeah.
It all resonates no matter what century you're living in.
Right. And speaking of that desire for connection,
Yeah.
I'm reminded of a verse we touched on earlier,
Okay.
verse 14.
Mm-hmm.
The secret of the Lord is with those who fear him.
Right.
It suggests that the more we seek God,
Yeah.
the more we understand him.
Absolutely.
Almost like unlocking secret levels of wisdom.
It's like we're given these glimpses behind the curtain.
Yeah.
A deeper understanding of God's heart and his plans.
Right.
And that connects beautifully with John 15.15, where Jesus calls his disciples friends
Yeah.
and shares the Father's knowledge with them.
Right.
It's about cultivating a relationship of trust and intimacy,
Mm-hmm.
where those deeper truths are revealed.
It's like that feeling when a close friend confides in you,
Yeah.
sharing something deeply personal.
Right?
That level of trust brings a whole new dimension to the relationship.
Absolutely.
And that makes me think about verse 10 again.
Okay.
All the paths of the Lord are mercy and truth unto such as keep his covenant and his testimonies.
Wow.
It's like a promise that as we align ourselves with God's will,
Right.
we experience his blessings more fully.
It's not just about following rules blindly,
Yeah.
but about understanding that God's ways are good
Right?
and ultimately lead to a life of purpose and fulfillment.
Right.
As we walk in step with him,
Yeah.
trusting in his guidance,
Yeah.
those paths become clearer,
Right.
and we see his mercy and truth
Well,
woven into the fabric of our lives.
it's like we're tuning our internal compass to God's frequency,
Right.
allowing his wisdom to guide our steps.
Exactly.
But I imagine there are times
Yeah,
when that signal gets fuzzy,
absolutely.
when doubts creep in,
Right,
and we
yeah.
question whether we're on the right path.
Doubt is a natural part of faith.
Yeah.
It's what pushes us to dig deeper,
Right.
to wrestle with those tough questions,
Mm.
and ultimately strengthen our understanding.
Okay.
Psalm 25 doesn't shy away from those moments of struggle.
Right.
It acknowledges the human need to question,
Yeah.
to cry out for guidance,
Mm-hmm.
to lean on God when we feel lost.
And that brings me to a question I have for you.
Okay.
What would you say to someone who's struggling with doubt?
Oh, that's a great question.
Yeah.
Someone who wants to believe
Right.
but feels overwhelmed by the complexities of faith. I'd say embrace those doubts.
Okay.
Don't try to shove them down or
Yeah.
pretend they don't exist. Bring them to God.
Right.
Wrestle with them honestly in prayer. Seek out wise counsel from others who have walked a similar path.
Yeah.
Remember, doubt doesn't have to be the enemy of faith.
Hmm.
It can actually be a catalyst for growth,
Okay.
pushing us to dig deeper into our beliefs
Right.
and emerge with a more robust understanding.
That's such a powerful message.
Yeah.
It's okay to have those questions.
Absolutely.
To go through those seasons of uncertainty, it's all part of the journey.
It is.
And speaking of journeys,
Okay.
I think it's time to bring our deep dive into Psalm 25 to a close.
It has been a journey.
It has. It's
Yeah.
been an incredible exploration of hope, trust, and guidance.
It really has.
Yeah.
We've unpacked so much wisdom from this ancient prayer, exploring its relevance for navigating the complexities of modern life.
Right.
We've seen how it speaks to our deepest anxieties,
Yeah.
our longing for connection, and our need for a source of strength beyond ourselves.
And for our listeners who want to continue exploring Psalm 25,
Yeah.
what advice would you give them?
I would say, what are some practical steps they can take to apply its teachings to their own lives? I'd encourage them to revisit the psalm,
Okay.
maybe even commit to reading it daily for a week or two.
Mhm.
Pay attention to the verses that resonate most deeply.
Right.
Journal about how they speak to your specific circumstances.
Okay.
Consider memorizing a verse or two that offers particular comfort or guidance.
Mhm.
And don't forget those New Testament connections we discussed.
Right.
Explore those passages. See how the themes of Psalm 25 are echoed and expanded upon
Right.
in the life and teachings of Jesus.
Those are fantastic suggestions.
Yeah.
It's about taking those timeless truths and weaving them into the fabric of our daily lives.
Absolutely.
And ultimately,
Yeah,
that's what Psalm 25 invites us to do.
I think so.
To surrender our anxieties to God, to trust in His guidance,
Right.
and to live a life
Yeah.
that reflects His mercy and truth.
And as we do that, as we walk in step with him, we discover that even in the midst of life's challenges,
Right.
hope is not lost.
Mm-hmm.
It's a constant companion, a guiding light,
Yeah.
leading us toward a life of purpose and fulfillment.
That's a beautiful way to end our deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for joining us on this journey through Psalm 25.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We hope you've been inspired and encouraged
Yeah.
by its message of hope and resilience.
Absolutely.